So if I can give you one word, the word is database. I was successful in real estate, personally listed 368 homes because I built a database. And naturally, if I learned in real estate, I did everything everybody told me to do, which was call a bunch of people who didn't want to talk to me. But I have a high threshold for pain. I can do the same thing. I think I've lost 36 pounds in the last 60 days, and I literally eat the same thing every day. Now, up until that point, it's kind of like when I trained for an Ironman like literally the last week of October to do an Ironman in January. I lost 68 pounds. In life, it was October, the Ironman was in February, and I poured out my drink right there on the beach. I was at an amazing party at the beach watching football. And I said, you know what, this is for the birds. I need to make a change right now. I was onto the golf cart with about 50 other top entrepreneurs from around the world in Dorado Beach, which is where I was living the last 4 years. And I went back to my house and I got on the computer and I bought a bike. By the end, I knew if I bought a bike that I'd be committed. And so I had never owned a bike. I didn't know how to ride a bike. I mean, I knew how to ride a normal bike, not this kind of bike. I didn't know how to shift gears. And I think this is a good metaphor because I believe that if you don't have everything you want, you simply haven't learned something yet. That's a Jim Rohn quote. And so the fundamental, for me, I learned over my career, listen, man, that there was way more money in real estate by helping others. And I think that's the fundamental difference in what I believe in versus, what I know. I certainly didn't get into real estate to start a coaching company. I got into real estate to kind of have a better life. And at the time, you could have defined that by just being able to have time to do my laundry. Right? Like we've all had those, my mentor said that people get into real estate 80% of the time because of a life event, a divorce, something happens in their life that they're like, you know what? I've been thinking about getting my license. Let me go ahead and just do it now. Since this thing happened, let me do it now. And the truth is my first week in real estate school, one of my professors did something brilliant. They said, everybody shut their eyes, open them. You have your license. How are you going to sell a home tomorrow? And I was like, damn, that is true. And so you have to understand, if you want to be good at agent attraction, you're never going to do it based upon your point of view. You're going to do it based upon having true empathy for other people's problems and being able to connect those problems with the problems that you've had. And so that's just the truth, So a lot of the times I spent the last hour and a half this morning working on a door hanger. One of the things with the door hanger, I think I made a huge impact. It was a marketing impact. If y'all would have sat through that exercise, you could have heard there were 6 people. They all are self-proclaimed marketers. And when they heard me give the feedback on what I would do different on the door hanger, they all kind of said, it's one of those moments when you work on a marketing piece, you're like, oh shit, that's it right there. And so the only reason I was able to see it was because I knew the questions that I had, like when I was in that scenario. So one of the things that, to be good at attraction is you have to be able to go back and put yourself in somebody's scenario and think like them. That's what good marketing does. It's like being able to think like the person. So fundamentally, when I got into attraction, you got to kind of back, like in 2017, I joined EXP in November. In 2014, I called Jay Kinder and said, hey, man, we need to clear out your, he had a huge storage building. I said, we need to clear out your storage building and buy these Bitcoin miners from China by the pallet. And we need to start mining Bitcoin. I got an electrician that could, I was already doing it at Lake of the Ozarks. I had a business partner with the house, and we'd filled the basement. And in 2014, I heard what Bitcoin was. I heard what it was. And I share that with you because, just because somebody doesn't know what something is, I've been there when Bitcoin was $300 a coin, and you try to explain it to people and it was, and they don't understand it, to I've kind of seen where, it's $117,000 a coin. And in anything, there's a book called Crossing the Chasm. Anytime, and it's read by Mark Zuckerberg, it's going to be read by Steve Jobs. This is like the How to Win Friends and Influence People book of technology in the story. Like they have 3 book series. But the guy's very famous. One of them's called Escaping Velocity, Inside the Tornado. And all of this is basically how to get adoption. And when you learn about adoption of anything, there's always an early adopter. And so I've always been an early adopter, whether it was Bitcoin. When I was in real estate, to be honest with you, not only was there not many males, there wasn't many young people, you know? So when I got into real estate, the MLS was DOS. Everybody was 20 years older than me, 15 years older than me, and they were 8 out of 10 of them were women. You know, that's how I got into real estate, you know? And so I've always been an early adopter when it comes to things. And so with EXP, I think the early adoption and being able to see the opportunity is being able to have your own independent viewpoint of where the world is and where it's going. And if you don't have that, you're never going to find the discretionary effort, because effort is the energy it takes to overcome resistance. And so unless you believe in the future, and the reason this is hard for people is because it's hard to dream when you're trying to survive. And so most people's strategy is a survival strategy. You know, they can get on this call, they can get motivated, you know, they can believe it's going to work for them, but belief diminishes like water dissipates. And so the best thing that you got to do for yourself is you got to, just like when you got to commit, just like I did with you got to commit, and until you commit financially to something, you only are committing with your time. And so, you know, you got to be able to make a commitment, and you got to know what that commitment is, and you got to be super clear. And you can skip this part, but you're truly going to only do a fraction of what your potential is, because what you're really trying to do is not lose instead of trying to win. When I mean not lose, you're trying not to waste your time, you're trying not to waste your money, but you want this opportunity. And so I think inherently when people look at the opportunity, it's based upon their belief system. Everything is about what they believe is possible or not possible. Mm-hmm. And so most people focus on trying not to lose versus, you know, I was at Jay Kinder's house last night about 5 o'clock. I was there for an hour. I was sitting on his beanbag, and he made me belly laugh. And I had this unique opportunity to invest in a thing called ETH Machine. One of the largest Ethereum owners, Andrew Keys, was a neighbor of mine, and he followed Tom Lee in taking, kind of like Michael Saylor. I'm probably speaking over a lot of people's heads, but he was taking a couple of company public in 90 days, and I had an opportunity on July 4th to invest in the first round. And so I asked Jay, because of this investment, ETH is up probably like $800 since I made the investment, and there's like 2 bites of the apple. And it has a very high IRR, which is an investor rate of return, which is factored by time. Meaning, if I invest $100 and I double my money in a month, that's better than investing $100 and doubling it in a year, because I get my money back. So it's the rate of return. And I was talking to Jay, and he said, "Man, I didn't do it." I said, "What, dude? You didn't do it?" And he said, "Yeah." And now Jay is the number 1 person in the world to do something before me. And he said, "You know what, man?" He made me laugh because I knew what he was talking about. He said, "Dude, I got a lot of powder right now and it's dry." But then he told me the 3 or 4 reasons of why he's sitting on his powder, you know? And so you have this Grant Cardone guy, you know, who says, "Dude, I go broke every month. Everything I invest, I bury it back into real estate. I go broke every month so that I have that pressure of feeling like I need to be doing something." But Jay was saying the opposite of that. And it's the shadow effect. I recognized it in him because I've done the same myself. And so I laughed because I knew without him even explaining it in less than certain words that I had done the same thing myself. And so I had to explain to him my philosophy. I said, you know, if I went to Tim right now and said, "Tim, I'll loan you $117,000, pay me back in 3 years," he would be better off saying yes to that than to say, "Tim, I'll loan you 1 Bitcoin that's worth 117." Because if I loan him 1 Bitcoin, he has to pay me back 1 Bitcoin. And that Bitcoin could be worth $1 million. So he'd rather trade me in USD than Bitcoin. And that's a fundamental shift in what's currently happening just in the currency market. So you have all of these people who don't understand it, which is probably the opportunity of a lifetime. Like, but in order for them to understand it, just understand we're talking agent attraction here, but what we're really talking about is what do we believe the future is? That's it. That's what we're talking about. Like, if you don't believe that a Bitcoin is going to be worth more in 3 years, then I'll loan you a Bitcoin. You can pay me back one, right? But if you think a Bitcoin is going to be worth 500,000, you better borrow USD. And so the same thing is with your real estate business. If you don't think 5 years from now that you're going to be waking up thinking about trying to sell a home, you're wrong. You're going to be waking up thinking about trying to sell a home unless you get a strategy that allows you, whether it's whatever it is, whatever your belief system is. You know, Jay shared the story with me last night on Braden, his oldest son, that he's been trying to get him to get his license and do agent attraction for 4 years. And he said for 4 years, and he was going to build it for Braden, his son. And for 4 years, Braden said, well, what if AI or something makes it disappear? And he says, I've been telling Braden, a guy who Jay could actually be helping him. He's bringing on a 200-person team from San Antonio that goes live on Tuesday. He brought $1 billion team that went under me that called him the month before last. Braden could have benefited from both of those. But Braden went to India to sell peptides to speak on stage because he likes to work out. And so, you know, like, where is the future in that, right? And I'm not trying to discard Braden's vision, but, you know, people are making random ass decisions. They're randomly nailing boards together instead of being an architect of their life. And so I call that living a life by strategy. And so living a life by strategy, I can tell you, there is no better opportunity. If we set on this and just got out calculators and bring the smartest people in the world, there's no better opportunity. I believe inherently, no question, there's no better opportunity than what everybody in here has right now. The question is, where are you at? And what's the number one thing you're studying or needing to learn? And where you need to know where you're weak. It's a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis where what are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. The strength is everybody, you know, you guys got to, if you're watching this, I mean, you obviously have leaders that are trying to invest in you. So that's a strength, right? But where are you weak? And I believe that, you know, 99% of your success is not in waking up, living life based upon episodic events, like just random acts happening this month. You have to be more strategic and engineer what you're trying to do. The only reason people live episodic events is because they need money, and there becomes the book what is it? The psychology of money. Like, the psychology of money is like, you know, the number one thing you have to do is you have to be able to manage yourself. To manage yourself, you have Michael Gerber, E-Myth, working in the business and on the business, right? So, like, when do you allocate time to work on the things that you need to work on? Like, what is in your calendar, right? How many, I'll give you an example. I'll share my screen, right? And nobody would have seen this, but I'm going to share it with you. So, like, I did 14 events through June. Okay. I did 14 events through June. If I share my screen, this is what I did this morning, right? This morning, I had a document, which is an events document. And these are the proposed events. And I'm breaking these down by venue of all the places. Now, this is 10 different places for the month of September. And I was shooting for 14. How could I do more in 1 month than I did all year? I was just on this huddle with the team, right? So the first thing you got to do is you got to think big. Because if you shoot for 14 and only do 2, you know, you got to think big. So in here, you got Portland, Seattle, action items, chat with Randy Bacon, Nicole Preza, Scottsdale, Atlanta, Georgia. So these are the cities to choose from. But if you go into my other, like, let me see if I have something else I can show you real quick. Hold on 1 second. You know, on Saturday and Sunday, right? All I worked on. So this is here's another example. So in that business unit, so events are a business unit. So I treat it just like a business, right? So top 5, we need to nail dates, assume availability. Number 2, organize, create event functional org chart, create folder structure for each event type. Number 3, create a rhythm, tactical versus strategic impact zone. Diagram, workshop diagram, freedom funnel diagram, listing blitz diagram. Logistics, 17 events, 48 recruits, 100 new partners in 1 month. Like, what is your goal? What is your model, right? What is your model? And so in any model, and I'm sharing this with you because this is really what I'm doing. It started with one event. But when I get with my team and I'm speaking to my team, they're thinking through limited beliefs. So the first thing that Alex was talking to me on the huddle was he was saying to me, well, we can do this event this day and this event that day, but we got the boot camp this week. I said, Alex, imagine there's 14 Michael Reeses, not one Michael Reese doing 14 events, but 14 Michael Reeses doing 14 events. Do not think of the constraint in my time, because I'm never going to be doing 14 events, because he's thinking through the current reality. I'm asking him what things would have to be true for us to do 14 events every month, and what would the assumptions need to be? And if you look at my financial model, which I can show you, on the first 12 events, I lost on average $4,000 an event. The last 3 events, I broke even, right? And that was all with intention. So if I would have started the first event and lost 14,000, I would have, or lost 4,000. I can show you all the numbers real quick if you want to see them. But if I would have lost 4,000, then my constraint would be the investment. Well, that in investment, you can get sponsors. So we were doing them at Top Golf. So our average Top Golf was $3,500 an event for food. We were able to use a different event finder and process to get the same event. Like our event, our last, I guess not our last 2, but out of our last 2 of our last 3 events, the event was covered. Because think about, like, I know my bottleneck. Like, my bottleneck or my constraint, a budget is a constraint by definition. If you have to lose $4,000 an event, you're going to do less events than if you made $4,000 an event. If everybody in here could go make $4,000 every event they did, you do 3 events a month, make 12 grand every month, 48 grand a month. But the delta between losing 4 and making 4 is 8. It's all math. So if you can figure out where you're trying to go, and not, and because listen, the attraction part is not the hard part. The hard part is the traffic. That's the hard part. I could give you my funnel. I could give you the link to my event. But if you do not have a strategy for getting people to register that event or to invite to that event, if in anything you do, you either are moving your mouth or you're looking for leverage. So what happens is most people, the reason I like events is an event is like a basketball game. You get to say, man, on that one, I sucked. What could I do better on the next one? Now, if you're not pointing the finger back at your own person, then you're going to lose in any game, because you could always have done something different. There is always, under any scenario, under any circumstance, something you could have done different. And so in the event, you go on a listing appointment. I listed 368 homes because I did something that was wrong, and I asked myself, what could I have done different? And it was that iteration of, Michael Jordan says, I've missed more shots than more people. That's why I'm better than most people. If I screw up 10 events and you see me on my last 10 where I'm making money, it's because you didn't see the first 10. So many people want a miracle. No, it's not a miracle. It's learning. You have to outlearn your competition, but you can't. It's the death of knowledge. It says, if anybody right here said, Michael Reese, I want to come to your house and I want you to help me with my plan. Show me where I'm wrong. Can you even articulate your plan? Can you even articulate, what is your big domino? What do you believe? Right? If you believe that you just got to call 10 people a month, we'll probably have a talk. right? Well, and that talk will be with math. If you think, uh, that I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you believe. I just know what I believe. I believe every problem has a solution. And I believe that if you start with something that is sustainable, right? I don't want to work towards something that's not going to be sustainable. The reason why I'm willing to make cold calls my first year in real estate was because I learned one thing from Gary Keller when he said, listen, when you have the right person, you don't have to think about how much they're going to cost you a year. You'll know in 60 to 90 days, right? Most people look at an ISA is going to cost you this over the year. At the end of 90 days, you should be willing to pay them double. And that was true for me. That helped me overcome the willingness to make that investment in an ISA. My first ISA was Alex Gibson. I would have never got to 368 listings without him. Wouldn't have happened. I would have called, went on appointments, called, went on appointments, called, went on appointments. But I got a different vision. I met a guy in a hallway. I'll remember his name. It almost came to me just then. But Danny Griffin. Who remembers Danny Griffin? Raise your hand. Right? I saw Danny Griffin speaking to a handful of people in the hallway, and he used the word ISA. And so I said, what is that? And they told me what it was. I was like, well, shit, that makes sense. I want one of those. I certainly couldn't afford it, but I had a vision of something that was worth working towards. So I now needed to figure out what things needed to be true for Michael Reese to get one of those. So the question is like, until you have a vision of what it is that you're trying to do, I've literally seen a guy, this is true story. I have a guy in my front line that's recruited over 1,000 people, not front line, but he's got over 1,000 in his group. And I promise you, he told me, Michael, I'm not going to recruit anybody. I don't care about recruiting. I've never recruited. I came because my broker raised the fees and I just wanted a lower split. And he is now probably one of our best recruiters. Like literally he spends, so like if I would have let him convince me of that, then he would have convinced me of that, right? Like I didn't push it on him, but he changed his own mind by default. And so there's a lot of people on here that you might be saying one thing right now in your mind, but that's just based upon your current reality. If you were like my cameraman, Jimmy Webb, who's got almost, 400 in his downline and never sold 6 homes in his lifetime, right? You wouldn't think, well, the reason you got so many people in your downline is because you sold so many homes. Well, unfortunately, Levi Lassik's got a bunch in his downline and he's never written more than one contract, right? Like that's not true. Julian, my brother, I think he's got 20 plus in his organization. He's never closed on a house, but his biggest rev share check has been almost $6,000. Caleb's wanting to enter the room. So the thing is, you got to figure out like, where am I wrong? That's the best advice I can give you, because it doesn't matter what we say. We could literally like go in the future, see the future, come back and tell you exactly what we saw. And if you don't believe us, it don't matter anyway. Even though we went to the future and could tell you, no, you gotta buy this. This is why. If we have to convince you of what's possible, then your success is based upon our words. And that's not gonna happen. So until you can find out, what you truly believe. And so the question is like, what do you believe? Right? And then do your actions. Like the biggest, I can tell you the biggest unfortunate beliefs. The biggest thing that I see, one, I see a lot of people being, not in this group, I don't know any of y'all, most of y'all, but I'll tell you what I see in my group. Most people are selfish. This is me. This came up, me and Jay had a very quality conversation, and he lives 8 houses down. I probably go over there once a month. And he said, what problem do you have? I said, man, it's just people trying to think about themselves. My FLQA. That's the biggest thing I see. My leaders need FLQAs, and I'm trying to teach them how to add 100 a month to their group, right? And a strategy that I think workshop is like, how do you organize with 3 people? EXP co-sponsor has allowed you to now work with people in your own backyard that you couldn't have worked with before. And so to me, it's in quantum physics, there's what they call a superposition. A superposition means you're in every place at the same time. The way I explain it is, imagine you have a farm and it has 10 ponds on it. Now, one pond's called YouTube, one pond's called webinar, one pond's called database, one pond's called local workshops. We think like a normal computer in bits, ones and twos. Well, I can either fish here or fish there. No, you want to have a fishing pole in every pond. You want to have a fishing pole in every pond. If you're not thinking like, how do I do a local career night for people wanting to make 6 figures in real estate? How do I do this? Like, if you don't have a vision, you don't have to be able, I'm not asking you to know how to execute it. You think Elon knows how to execute landing on Mars? Hell no. You got to have a vision that's going to excite you of something that is possible. And if you skip that step, you're going to get on 10 more of these calls. It's going to be 2026, and you're going to be plus or minus 30 recruits. So what do I believe? I believe right now I believe in game theory. Game theory. The reason why is because I believe in God. And because I believe in God, I believe in game theory, because God would never have had my number one mentor, who was 70 years old, ask me every damn time he got on the phone, Michael, hey, Michael, did I tell you what game theory was? Do you know about game theory? Yes, Jay, you told me, Jay Abraham. You change one rule of the game and it's a completely different game. Well, so when they changed the ability to move people and they changed the ability to co-sponsor, they changed the whole game. That would be like going on the basketball and looking across the deal and watching the point guard and being able to say, hey, man, you want to be on our team? And you want to be on our team? And you want to be on our team? Because you're never going to do more than the team that you're working with. And so from a local perspective, I'm only trying to get alignment. I'm only trying to get alignment. And the same person I called, I told this to Jay. Jay says, enter the guy's name, said you called him, said you were coming to his city, and said you said this. I said, bro, I knew 8 minutes after I got on that call, I should have hung up the call. I was speaking to all he wanted to talk about was how he could get FLQAs. He wasn't even listening. I literally called him and I told Jay what I told him. He said, well, he didn't hear that. I said, I know, dude, I thought he should be excited. And he's only trying to unlock his next bucket because he's only thinking of his pain. But I'll tell you one thing, like if there is a strategy and the window of opportunity is closing, Jay has 74 co-sponsors in 90 days. Game theory. 74 people from inside the company. I guarantee you he's going to have 1,000. And his vision, like mine, like his whole strategy, he will tell you he got sitting next to me. He was only an Instagram guy. His Instagram got hacked. Every problem, it has greater equal opportunity. So he came to the Puerto Rico Freedom Funnel event and said, man, I'm going to have to do something. This guy's holding me hostage. I haven't, like, he literally was playing golf every day. Right. So he had to get a strategy. And so he was asking me, so how are the workshops going? Right. And so the question for me is, I have a plan. I always had a plan. I had a plan from day one, but the plan is always database. I know that if somebody spends, this is the fundamental big domino. The big domino is the more time people spend with you, the more they trust you. So how many people in real estate right now trust you? Are you trying to earn trust with some fancy script in 2 minutes over a phone call? Well, good luck with that. That's like going out into the forest trying to cut down trees and just whacking at each of them twice and moving to the next tree. That's a terrible strategy. It's a terrible strategy. The game is real simple. Time spent. Database is built on segmentation. If I coached one person on here, there is no person on this call that I believe I could not help. There's not one. But the first thing that I would do is we would have a goal that would be crystal clear. We'd have the math based upon our assumptions. And then we would have a plan. And we would not deviate from that plan. We would learn. We would expect it to fail. We'd expect it to fail because we are trying to find out where we're wrong so we can make an iteration and another iteration and another iteration. That's called product market fit. Product market fit is you're trying to listen to the consumer. Man, he didn't list with me. He went with Paulette Green. Why'd he go with Paulette Green? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know when I came out, I noticed that I hadn't heard back from you. Have you made a decision? Yeah, we're going with someone else. Well, just because I plan on being in this industry for the next 20 years, I'm going to learn so much. I hope if you could do me one favor, what was it that she did or said that made you want to choose Paulette over me? I definitely respect the decision, but I'd like to learn. Well, we just like that she did this or that, right? Like you should be learning from your failure, from every failure. You should be a learning machine. But if you give failure a different meaning, then you're like, oh God, man, listen, guys, I went to San Antonio. I had 24 people in the room. The second event, I had probably 36 people in the room. The third event, when I would have said normally 10 years ago, we're not going to San Antonio again. The third event, we had to bring in 4 tables, and it is the most people we had in any event. Same thing was with direct mail. When I mailed direct mail for 5 years, if I had made all my decisions based on my first mailer, I would have never mailed. But I wasn't trying to nail it the first time. I was trying to learn. So the question is like, where are you learning and growing? There's 2 reasons I believe people join EXP, because they want growth or they want opportunity. Chuck Fazio was looking for opportunity. He has a certain pain. Chuck Fazio, for those that don't know him, he did 22,000 transactions, $7 billion in production, and had 900 agents, and just closed on a $7 million building with a coffee house and a stage, and did concerts every Thursday and Friday on the porch. It was beautiful for anybody who's ever seen it. And I'm on a call with him, my first Zoom call ever, 2 days before Christmas, maybe 3 days before Christmas, 2017. He has as many agents as almost all of EXP at the time. Why would I move my brokerage over, right? What do you say? I mean, even if you got a layup, do you know what to say? So you have those are the things. And the problem is, and we all know this to be true, is our production business, which is very important. We don't make money without helping people produce. Opportunity and growth. Growth is production. Opportunity is for the Chuck Fazios. The growth is people who want to sell more, right? They want to sell more homes. And so, this morning, I'll show you an example. I'll give you an example. This is a guy that I'm helping, right? I'm going to show you this exact example. His name is Michael. I think he sent me an email. Okay. And this is his email this morning. His email is, hey, Mike, will I go through his webinar and give him feedback? Right? That's this morning. Or that was Sunday. I woke up this morning. I went through it. I said, the good news is I watched it last week. So I watched it twice. I watched it last week and I watched it again this morning. It can be 1,000 times better. The problem is the flow of the webinar. The actual content is way light. It takes almost 6 minutes until you move off of slide number 1. What is the big ass problem of your audience? How do they know that they're in the right place? Build up your why you're doing this call. Call out the problem if they're going to be if they're in the right spot, and anchor some testimonials out of the gate. Number 2, you need to get a clear big domino. The only way internet leads versus new way, client acquisition. He would know what that means. Michelle did not run the ad. That was a person he ran for it. We ran the ad. She didn't run the ad. Nobody wants to run ads. They want you to run them for them. Don't say Michelle ran the ad when that's not true. We ran the ad. So, hey, man, when we started working with Michelle, she knew nothing about ads, but it was real simple. So we ran her ad for her. We set up her face. Like, value not articulated is value not appreciated. Words matter, right? You need a slide early that teaches message to market match. Demonstrate that there are many types of funnels. You teach the waterfront and high rise. I'd flip that to new construction and tee up only an example. And your transition was flat. His transition slide was, this is my wife. Like, it made no sense. I thought the problem was going to be your delivery. I thought he was going to be like really weak on his tempo and his tonality. Dude, it was lights out. It was impressive. I was really encouraged. I would give you an A+ for delivery. Your first 7 minutes are going to make or break it if someone stays on. I'd get a perfect narrative. He's got to nail his backstory. He skipped the most important part, right? And you got to layer in. When you're new, you got to have proof right out the gate. You can never trump proof. So it's like, hey, man, this is Michael Reese. Thanks for jumping on our webinar today. Today, we're going to talk about lead generations. I believe one thing. If you give a trained person leads, they'll be successful. Let me give you a metaphor. You always use metaphors. It's like somebody trying to get their car to run, and they hired 19 mechanics when all they need is gas. Most real estate agents are they're literally going to Chick-fil-A to feed their family with $2. You're not going to get much of a meal. Like, this is a math equation. Do you have enough leads coming in your system to acquire a customer? Like, if you don't believe that, then get off my webinar. I'm not trying to convince, my mom or my dad or my sister. I'm trying to convince the people that are out there who know there's people out there making this stuff happen online and they can be doing better. That's who I'm trying to attract, nobody else. You got to be specific. So I got to talk to the narrative right out of the gate. So this webinar today is going to be for agents who struggle with lead generation and also struggle. I know my ideal customer struggles with technology. So I'm going to say that. And they just feel overwhelmed by tech stuff. Well, listen to what Sheila had to say. Sheila got 27 leads in 10 days, and she didn't even know what an MP3 was. When I say she's not good at tech, she didn't have to be, because she's in business for herself, but not by herself. That's why she partnered with us. Listen to what she has to say. Boom. Right? And I'm just building up their skepticisms right out of the gate. If I don't have a huge influencer story, then I need to be on message with a lot of proof. Right? I have to be on message with a lot of proof. The greatest example of this, Jeff, since you went to the Dominant Listing Agent Blitz, was Tyranny Jordan. She opened up that whole presentation with 8 stories in her W-2. So if you didn't believe her after 8 minutes, which you did, you're like, damn, this girl's really helped some people sell some homes. Tim, were you there? You saw the proof, right? She stacked the proof out of the gate. She didn't have to say, I got 10,000 in my downline. I listed 368 homes. She had to talk about one problem and give the proof. Like, if you have this problem, we can help you. Don't believe me? Here's the proof. And you got to get on message. If you try to do 10 different messages to 10 different people, to 10 different ICPs, you're not going to figure it out. I changed my business with one funnel, expireds. It's a military term. Attack the beachhead, then attack the adjacent markets. What is your beachhead? Are you helping new agents that want to get into real estate? Are you helping struggling agents who want to make 6 figures? Are you helping agents right now who have the biggest problem of inconsistency? If you're helping agents with inconsistency, then talk about Christmas. Talk about Christmas. Hey, have you ever had a bad Christmas? Right? Why is that? Does your pipeline ever dry out? Is it hit or miss? Up here, then down here, right? You got to be able to get these people to lean in and be like, yeah, that's my problem. Tell me more. And so everything that you do at Agent Attraction is going to be, I'm telling you, your offer. Because when you have a shitty offer, you're not going to make the offer. And your offer is not join EXP. There's not one person that has joined me this year that our conversation ever, the words EXP never even came up until they asked me. I can prove it. You can go through all my Zooms. They say, okay, yes, I watched the video. So is this about EXP? But that was after hours of consumption. That's jab, jab, right hook. That's a book by Gary Vee, right? Deposit, withdraw. I mean, you got to lead with cheese, not whiskers. So like the fundamentals that if you're not being successful, maybe you don't understand what you're doing. So here's the question. Who are you learning from? You can always get better. That's it. End of story. Like, and I don't care whatever it is that you're saying in your head, that's not true. The question goes like this. What do you believe? And what is sustainable? For me, listen, I have one belief. I believe if you take the jerseys off the Super Bowl team, whatever it is, and you put a Dallas Cowboys jersey on the same team, they still win the Super Bowl. The jersey don't matter. The jersey don't matter. The Patriots didn't win, or whoever. I don't even know who won the Super Bowl. Who won the Super Bowl?
Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles. The Eagles didn't win. If you take all the Eagles and put them in a Cowboys jersey, then the Cowboys win. It's the team. It's the team. And so a functional org chart is like, you got to start organizing, even when you're a solopreneur. Like, here's my team. Here's who I go to for three-way calls. Like, you got to look at your team. You got to get a plan. That's it. You got to get a plan. And people don't get a plan because they're trying to go fast. And unfortunately, you can go fast in the wrong direction. And if you should have went this way 3 miles and you went that way, that means you go 3 miles this way. You got to come back 3 miles to get back to where you started. And that took 9 miles to go 3. That's the whole concept. Don't pull the trigger, hit the target. Get clear on the goal. Have somebody look at it, pick it apart. Hey, man, here's where I think I'm going to double down this year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy a $5,000 bike. Like, I'm all in on this strategy. This meets my criteria. It's sustainable. But in order to do that, you have to know, like, is this sustainable? The reason why I'm going to do workshops is so that I never have to do them again. Because what happens with the workshop is a definite date that I can control marketing. I'll give you an example. The pain in my world is I have people that run the marketing. And so the webinar runs, I don't run it. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off, and this just happens. Things happen. I get busy. With an event, I know that I'm going to be in Houston on Tuesday. How many people are registered? I'm going to be in Denver the following Wednesday. How many people I can manage to that birthday, to that single event? Like, my KPIs and goals are so clear that it's easier for me to manage, right? I get feedback quick. I go to the room. There's not a lot of people. People ask this question. I make the change. I go back. So for me, that's kind of like my batting cage. That's where I go and work on my hitting, right? I want to do that. That's where I want to get better. And so, but all I'm really doing is working on a presentation and an offer, right? Now, when people come, they just spent 2 hours with me and they got lunch. Now, if Kathy came to me and said, hey, Kathy, we did 2 events and there's been 80 people that came and, man, I'm not really sure, I haven't got no FLQAs out of that. I'd say, Kathy, like, I'm playing a different game. I want to get 100 event passes so we can get 78 of them to spend 2 days with us. Because I've recruited 14 people in a week, right? I've recruited 14 people in a week. The people make decisions at events. So we're going small event workshop to 2-day event. That's not me. That's used across the whole internet. That event model has been being used by Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini, Todd Bates. That's just real estate. They use it in multifamily. All the top multifamily guys go from small event to big event. So like, what is your model? What is your model? And you need to, for me, what I'm going to do because of co-sponsor, I went to Colorado Springs. I had 48 people in Colorado Springs in my downline. I didn't even tell one of them I was coming. The number one agent in Colorado Springs is in my downline. I didn't tell her I was coming. What if I would have went to all of the agents in Colorado Springs and said, guys, I have an event. I doubled the size. Jump on this Zoom today. I'm going to be there in 2 weeks and learn how you can use my event to increase your conversion on any local agents you're trying to convert. They jump on because right now I'm omitting EXP people. What if I included them? Because I could include them and use them to co-sponsor. This is, again, one rule of the game changes. I do 14 events omitting EXP people. What if I did 14 events and emailed every EXP person in that city? Every one of those people can invite to my event, use my offer, and co-sponsor. This is a way to grow by hundreds. I've never seen such a compelling opportunity on earth. But that's what I believe. And I hope you believe that I believe that, because I really do believe it. That's what I'm working for. And I also believe that if I take care of the little things, the big things, like, I cannot do that and not have FOQAs. Like, it's impossible, right? And so I don't know how it's all going to figure out. I'm going to figure it out. I'll be like, okay, well, let's not do that again. But I have a list right now in my Google Docs. I have a list of 10 things. I could probably pull it up, but I have a list of 10 things that I'm going to test because I believe in a testing budget. So I have a list of, okay, on my events, what are the top 10 things that I'm going to test between now and then? Right. And so like, my mentor said, Jay Abraham said, Mike, you have an unlimited budget. The only budget you have is a testing budget. So what things am I going to test? Right? Because I'm just trying to test throughput. Like, how can I increase conversion? Where are my leverage points? Okay, leverage points are in attendees. The venue, the contribution margin of the expense of a venue, the venue, I mean, to put up 50 people in a room, to 100 people over in the room, the venue cost doesn't double. The food cost doubles, but not the venue cost, and it's the number one expense. If I go to a place that can hold 50, I could probably add $200 and go to a place that holds 100. It's a math equation. If I converted 48% of the room to a free offer, or whatever it is, it's just math. But is it easier to call somebody and say, hey guys, would you like to come down and have Chick-fil-A and have lunch and learn XYZ so you don't have to do the thing you hate anymore? If you would like to come to that, awesome. It's easier. Again, the number one commandment is always work on your offer. Make your offer so good that they have to say, how does that work? If you do not do that work, this will all be work. You will literally be trying to screw in a Phillips screwdriver with the nail. It's just like they don't fit. They don't fit. You got to start with, who is my ideal person? Get real clear. If it's military people, because you're in a military town, then get clear on that, right? If it's women, like I'm really good with, if it's young people, if it's people who've been in the business for 10 years, if it's people who are selling less than 10 homes, but more than 4, get very specific on who you are. And then the only thing you have to do is, and if you nail this, everything will be easier. What is their BAP, big ass problem? Because you're not going to get attention unless you talk to their problem. You have to be able to get their attention. Attention comes with them shaking their head. Like, it's like if you talk to your ideal person and they're selling their ideal person, you're going to help because they sell 7 to 10 homes, and their top desire is they want to sell 2 homes a month. Well, like, what are they telling if you interviewed their wife, it's a man, or their husband, it's a woman, and they said, what is the biggest challenge your spouse is having in real estate? What would their spouse say? Right? Like, you got to know, what does this person think? Because that's when they're going to feel like you're talking to them. And they're not thinking, should I join EXP? That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking, if I don't get a closing sometime real soon, I might have to go get a job.
Mm.
They're thinking, if somebody else tells me to cold call, another dang person, like, I just can't do it. They're thinking, I suck at technology. I suck at social media. These are the things they're thinking. So, you have to have messaging. 83 cents of every dollar is spent on the headline. 83 cents of every dollar. So the difference is, guys, listen, copywriting is the salesmanship in the written form. That's what it is. That's why copywriters are the best marketers, because there is frameworks to how you should sell, whether you know them or not. Like, most people rely on just being a very nice person and being likable, which is great, right? That's great if that works for you, but you're only going to get a fraction of a fraction because you can't scale that. You can't train everybody on your team just to be likable. You got to teach them a system for selling, You got to teach them that question. Who asks the questions controls the conversation. What questions to ask. You know, you gotta teach them what open loops are, open-ended, closed questions. These are frameworks for selling. In marketing, it's the three imagines. Imagine this, and now imagine this. In copywriting, it's fact, tell them what you want. Hey guys, listen, fact, 78% of the people in Nashville didn't sell a home in the last 10 months. Fact, and interest rates have went up 3 times this year. Now, boom, tell them what you want, right? If you hit somebody with 2 facts, you can hit them with whatever you want them to believe. That's a copywriting strategy. These things work. I use the 3 imagines and the 3 facts all the time. But if you don't know that there's a structure for selling, if you don't know that there's a structure for marketing, then maybe the reason why you're not doing attraction as well as you want is because you aren't good at marketing or sales. And maybe that also is the reason why you don't like real estate. So the real question is like, do you have a lesson plan? Like the person on this call who actually takes this to heart and says, you know what, Mike, I'm going to buy these 3 books. This is the only common denominator. People ask me, what's the difference between the people you help and that have the most success versus the ones that don't? They're the best student. A teacher can tell you who the best student is. A principal can tell you who the best teacher is. The best student cares and the best teacher cares. That's the end of the story. So, like, are you a great student? Like if you were the student and you had all the results that somebody else wanted, how would you define, what are the characteristics of a good student? Or do you think that's I was born this way? You think Mike's just lucky because he was just born in marketing? That's bull crap. I'm just like you. I've looked at my kid and wondered how I was going to pay my bills because I bet the farm. I've lost money. I've had shit happen. I've had life events happen. I have every single thing I could tell. I'm blind in my right eye. I got shot in the face. I had a year where I thought my 5-year-old son wasn't going to be able to walk because he couldn't. God bless, everything worked out. But there was probably 8 months of the worst months I wouldn't wish upon anybody. Shit's going to happen in your life. I get it. My dad passed away last year. My brother-in-law, 41, passed away last year while we were on our dream vacation and wherever we were in Italy on a yacht, 146-foot yacht in Croatia. Things happen, but I think my dad and everybody, my kids and everybody, the best thing I can do for them is be the best version of myself. That's the best thing. That's the best thing I can do for anybody in my family is lead from the front. And if you were talking to your kids right now, would you want them to think that they could not learn and become better? How nice would it be for your kid to have such a clear vision of what they wanted to be? So clear that it kept them up at night. They wanted it so bad that they were willing to do the work. I want to be a baseball player, Dad. Can you take me to the batting cages, Dad? Will you throw the baseball in the backyard with me, Dad? Dad, will you throw me some grounders? Dad, what could I have done better in that game? Dad, can you give me a trainer? That's the winners, guys. That's always the winners. It's the person who tries to get the story around their current circumstance as the reality, and it's just not true. Change happens in an instant. It's your decision to change that takes forever. So until you get vulnerable with yourself, I could put the best class in the world on for you guys. But if you ain't in your right state of mind, you're going to look, you're going to judge, you're going to come up with reasons of why that doesn't work for you because you're just at a consciousness level that you're not ready to receive. Awareness, desire, seek, ask, receive, take action, persistent accountability. I'm making you aware right now because the reason I'm making you aware is because I know your problem is my problem. Your problem is there's something in your mind where you're wrong that you think you're right. And until you can have awareness of your thoughts and write them down and say, man, that's not true. It's not true. I can do that. That's not true. I cannot say that the last 6 months I gave it my 100%. How do I define 100%? Y'all want to see my calendar? I was on a call. I'm leaving here at 4:00 in the morning tomorrow morning to go to Houston. I left for Atlanta at 4:00 in the morning on Tuesday. I was supposed to be home at 5. I can show you the text. I got 8 delays. I didn't get home till 1 in the morning. I'm going to Denver at 4:00 in the morning. I fly there. I fly back the same day. Okay. Saturday, I did a 4-hour call, which is all in alignment with my number one thing, which is how to make workshops so profitable you can't afford not to do them. Sunday, I did an event until two of my guys had to go to church at 10:30. So we started at 7 till 10:30. And this morning we had a meeting. And every morning I get up and say, how the heck am I going to get my workout in today? Because it is. Sometimes I got to go up there, get 30 minutes on cardio, come back home and go. I still have to check that box. So I have to organize myself to get it all done. And if you sit here, you better have your workout gym, you're choosing, because we going to work. So if my 10 effort is, if you're not, I mean, like, what is your level 10 effort? And if you ain't got a level 10 effort, then it's just because, like, I can't, like, listen, then you got to go to Tony Robbins, because I'm not in the business of making people believe in themselves, believe what's is possible. You have to believe in yourself and believe what's possible.
First of all, philosophically, everything. I mean, this is been phenomenal. Best interview I've done, because I don't think I had to ask one question. So appreciate you just going down. I think for all of us, it was great for me to hear some of these nuggets again. Go back and hear this a couple times. I know Andy's on here. We can cut this into shorts, have some really good stuff. And man, we just want to say thank you again for all of us that are here. There's about 8 people that are working with Michael, obviously on the funnels for attraction. I know this has all been about vision and really looking into ourselves before we move forward. But I just want to say this to kind of wrap this up again. Michael, we sincerely appreciate you doing this. You guys have heard us talk about this, but I'm doing it, and several of us, as you're talking to agents, asking and questioning all that, we know that most agents right now are looking for leads, and we have the opportunity right now to co-sponsor with a lot of us that are in the Freedom Team, or Michael, or anybody in the entire company. You can now co-sponsor it and be able to take advantage of what that other agent offers. And the big offer we all have right now that seems to be helping, Jeff is doing it every week, bringing an agent in, it's with these funnels. This isn't the only way to do it. We're talking events and everything. But again, just to kind of wrap this up, we're at 10:04. Michael, first of all, thank you, brother. I know your schedule's busy. Just what you've thrown out. You were already on Zooms this morning, all weekend. I can see why you're ultra successful, bro. We sincerely appreciate you pouring into the Freedom Team, especially Jeff in the early stages, because we're all starting to see what's happening right now from these funnels and what you've put together to help agents. It's beginning to help our team in a big way, and we sincerely appreciate you. We really do.
Hey, Michael, before you go, you started to mention 3 books, and you never got to those. Do you remember what those were?
One was
I wasn't going to say a
Velocity.
specific book. You need to find out the book that you need to learn. What are the 3 books that are yours? So like Your Next Million, like Jay's hired his entire tax strategy team from the book Your Next Million, which is how to create the benefits of a family office. That's his thing. He's working on tax, wealth preservation. So he read Your Next Million, right? There's also Your Next Mountain, which is like when you've achieved, how do you find your next big purpose? So you guys need to find out what yours is. I would just say, but don't read, study, get really clear on what that thing is, and seek, find the books, find the podcast, whether it's 3 books on crypto, whether it's 3 conferences on crypto, whether it's 3 podcasts on crypto, whether it's 3 influencers on crypto, whatever it is, get a direction and study and become a good student on that topic. That's what I was saying. All right, I'm going to jump, guys. Y'all have a great day. Oh, go ahead.
What are those? You were talking about awareness, desire, and then you went over about
awareness, desire, seek, ask, receive, take action, persist, and accountability. Those are the 8 stages of change.
And is that in a book or?
No, it's literally the fundamental principles that I could go into how we came up with it, but it's unbreakable. It's like physics. It's truth. Awareness, you're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. Until you have awareness, you can't change. Awareness, desire. Until you have desire in your heart, think and grow rich. You can't do nothing. It says in every chapter, when you're ready, you'll see it. If you're not, you won't. You have to have a burning desire. Awareness, desire, seek and you'll find. A seeker is a student. Elon Musk says, assume you'll be wrong. If you assume you're wrong, that means you're actually going to learner mode. If I'm wrong, what do I need to learn? So assume, seek, ask. Brilliance is never in the answer. It's always in the question. If you ask me the wrong question, I can give you the answer, but you might have the answer in the wrong direction, right? If you say, where's the next gas station? That way, oh, it's in 7 miles. But if you would have said, is this the right way to get to this place? I'd say, no, you actually need to go this way. So knowing the right questions to ask, question storming, seek, ask, receive. Ask, receive is a big one. Pride, people with low consciousness, they don't receive. They're judging other people. They haven't come. And until they get out of that, they're going to be stuck. Just like a fish doesn't know what Taco Bell is, it can't go above the water. They're always going to be stuck in this lower level dimension, because they're trying to justify why they haven't grown. For them to exist and their ability to not grow, they have to justify it. We call them haters online, all of that stuff. But that's just the bottom of consciousness. They can ascend out of it, but they're going to have to do their own personal development. So they're going to have to go back to the start and seek, right? But once they receive, they then have to take action. Nothing happens without action. So it's action, consistent action over time. Persist. Everything's going to take twice as long. And then accountability. If you have accountability, you'll never lose. So I'm going to jump, guys. I got a financial meeting at 11. I got the grace of a Harvard MBA, John Z, the former board, looking over my workshop model, and they've been on there for 8 minutes. So thank you guys.